Townsend here, reporting again from Capitol Hill. It is Halloween, October 31st, and I am back with, unfortunately, some scary financial news. So, as I had reported on earlier today, I've been showing all my followers the repo market, the repurchase market. Basically, it's a backstop. It's an emergency market for banks to get quick liquidity when they need it, the day of, to meet withdrawals or any sort of other obligations they may have. So, this market has largely not really been used since 2020 when the Federal Reserve got rid of the 10% bank reserve requirement. Since then, the banks don't have to have any reserves. They're supposed to, but they don't have to. So since then, this market really has not been used. So if you go back and look at anything really after 2020, 2021, you're going to see this market is largely untouched, except for at the end of a quarter when they need liquidity for their balance sheets, for example. So what's currently happening right now, because we're not at an end of a quarter and because there's really no obligations for them to need to meet and fulfill, that's what makes all of this look extremely dangerous, and it is beyond a warning flag now. Today, it's actually a rupture. So as I reported on this morning, the repo market, twice daily operations, right? So they started borrowing $20 billion in the morning and then basically ended the day borrowing another $30 billion. So we are at $50 billion in emergency liquidity that was sought today. That brings it to a total of $106 billion since the missed government paychecks on October 15th. So if you cannot clearly see that is correlated to these missed paychecks, then I don't know what else to tell you. But we're basically coming on a perfect storm right now because the Federal Reserve has been engaging in quantitative tightening operations since 2022. And what that means is they've been pulling liquidity out of the market, pulling that out. And that is why they reduced rates a couple days ago, because they clearly have pulled too much liquidity out of the market. And with this government shutdown, it's only made things worse. I don't think our politicians truly register. Again, this is why I asked Senator Elizabeth Warren, do you understand what's happening to the repo market and the banks? And she didn't answer, because they do not want to admit what they're doing is probably going to cause bank failures, smaller banks next week. And this is only compounded further by JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon admitted 2 weeks ago that their bank took $170 million took loss on $170 million in bad loans to Tricolor, a subprime auto lender. And then this is on top of Zion, a regional bank that lost $60 million in bad commercial loans. So Jamie Dimon basically said, when there's one cockroach, there's more. So what he's saying is, when there is one bad commercial loan or two on a bank's balance sheet, there's most likely more. So while it's great the banks were not investing in risky subprime mortgages any longer, they now have gotten into risky commercial loans, and that is on the balance sheets of many of these banks. So we're coming on this perfect storm. Foreclosures are up 20% since last year. U.S. Treasuries are down. Money is going to gold and silver now. It's leaving U.S. Treasuries. It's leaving our banks. We are lacking liquidity. And so we now have this perfect storm right now. And I know there's been a lot of talk about the tech companies laying off, and there's been conspiracy theories about that. DESIREE Townsened, this perfect storm right now. And I know there's been a lot of talk about the tech companies laying off, and there's been conspiracy theories about that. Please don't buy into those conspiracy theories. Here's actually what is happening. So many of these tech companies employ economists on their payroll. So these economists, they look at the economy at the macro, micro level, and they say, okay, CEO of Amazon, we are heading into a recession. We are going to have less people spending money on Amazon. We need to lay off people in order to be able to weather this storm. So these tech layoffs, they have absolutely nothing to do with AI. They have nothing to do with some sort of conspiracy theory to crush the economy, and they have everything to do with another indicator inside tech is their economists are saying, oh shit, U.S. is heading in a recession. We need to be lean or we're not going to be able to make it through this recession. So that's why tech companies are laying off. So with all of these factors, this confluence of factors coming together right now, SNAP benefits not hitting banks, direct deposits not hitting banks, contractor funds not hitting banks, the Fed taking out liquidity for the past 3 years. We are in this perfect storm right now that will most likely unfold next week. My guess is potential failures of smaller banks. We'll see what happens, but maybe a failure or two of a smaller bank is what restarts the government. But on a final note, I want all of you to remember how we got here. When and if we do hit a great recession because of this shutdown, please remember that this was all because insurance companies wanted government subsidies for next year. This has everything to do with government subsidies being handed to insurance companies. Because if we truly wanted to fix the insurance marketplace, we would ensure that insurance companies would no longer be allowed to tell doctors you cannot take cash pay patients. That is what's happened. We have destroyed the actual market for healthcare, and it's been artificially inflated by insurance companies and the ACA in each state that's allowing the insurance company to keep raising the premiums. This has nothing to do with healthcare and everything to do with dark money from insurance companies going to these people at Capitol Hill.